Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Discover series. Today, we're going to talk about something very, very cool. We're going to talk about driving store sales and everything that we can do to drive more footfall. My name is Justus. I work in the EMEA headquarters in Dublin, and I'm one of the people who talk about this topic pretty much every day. So let's get going. All right. So first, before we actually dive into this slide deck, I want to give you a brief overview of what we're going to talk about. At first, we're going to cover a little bit of why we actually do this, what kind of behavior we have noticed in the market and overall when it comes to technology that enables us to do a lot of new cool things that weren't possible before. The second piece will be around how to actually implement it, how to actually do it. And then in the end, we're also going to talk a little bit about how can we actually measure what we're doing here so we can make sure that we only invest money into something that is worth investing in. All right? Cool. So at first, it's all about the why. Why are we doing this? And as you can imagine, looking into this picture, it's all about mobile. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already heard this question, but if you take a pen and a piece of paper and just take 1 second to guess how often you check your phones every day, that'd be great. I'll give you 3 seconds for that. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'll give you the answer. It's actually 150 times per day. And that's just a lot. That is more than we would probably understand if we look at ourselves. We would be like, yeah, a few times per day, maybe 10 or 15 times, but it's actually on average 150 times per day, which is a lot. So basically, bottom line is that mobile is something that is huge in our everyday lives, and everybody's using it. It's not just us as marketers, it's also everybody. And at the same time, we understand that, and I took Germany as an example because I'm German, but this is like pretty much the same way around the whole world, that 93% of all retail sales still happen in stores. So now we have 2 data points. We know that mobile is immensely important, and at the same time, people go to stores to buy things. So how do we do, what do we do with these 2 data points? How do we bring them actually together? This is basically underlining what I was just talking about. We saw that from 2010, and these are numbers from ShopTrack and from MasterCard, that footfall in general has been going down. There's less and less people actually going into a store, while at the same time, store sales have almost increased by 2.5 times. So what we see is that there's fewer people actually coming into the store, looking to the shelves, talking to shop representatives, informing themselves and making a decision in the store itself. But at the same time, they spend more money. And that kind of raises a question on why is that happening? How come people visit stores less often while at the same time spending more money? There seems to be a little bit of a disconnect. And here's the answer to that. And this is what brings all the data points that I talked about, brings them together. So at first, this number is immensely huge. We have 92% of consumers stating that in a Deloitte report from 2015 that they use a digital device before or during the actual purchasing process. So we have our little assistants with us all the time, and they help us actually making the decision. So obviously, the 150 times per day that you're using your mobile phone, that data point, this kind of underlines what's happening here. Because we have it with us all the time, we also use this in times where we have to make a decision, or we have to research something, we want to know something about a product. These little digital helpers are helping us also during purchase process. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this live stream can actually sympathize with that. You've done this before. You stood in a retail store and you were like, oh, is this actually what I want to buy? So that's the first data point. The second data point was around, hey, are people actually still buying in stores? And yes, obviously they're buying in stores, but they're not anymore talking to shop assistants. They're not looking at the adverts in the store that much as they used to before because they did not have the mobile device. They're now using that mobile device, right? So I'm making a huge statement around, like, people are using mobile more, they buy more, but they use mobile devices to actually capture and do research on their mobile phones before they buy something. So what happens is that research is more and more omni-channel, meaning that we have people that still go into the stores, talk to people, but also they combine it and they complement it with online research, which means that for our purchasing and for our metrics in the end and determining what kind of marketing actually worked, we can't only look into online metrics. We can't only look into clicks and conversions that come through clicks on our ads, because it might be that the people that actually clicked on our ads did not convert through the online web store. It might be that these people actually clicked on a location extension, and I'm going into the product already a little bit, but they clicked on an ad and then later on recognized that, hey, there's a store just right here around the corner. Let's just go there, right? So this is something that's actually happening, and we need to build for that, because if we would only value what we're doing online, we would not capture a lot of the value that we bring, especially as Google, that we bring to retailers and to people having businesses all around the world. Because we would only look at the online piece of it, we would neglect that there's also influences on the offline business, right? And this is what this live stream is all about. So why would you believe me? You should believe me because you tried it. We actually ran a lot of experiments. We are using this already. So this is nothing super new. We're using this already with huge advertisers all around the world. And we see that this omni-channel consumer, so where we're able to not only capture the conversions that come in on the online channel, but also include the conversions that were driven by online marketing but happened offline. If we're including them, we see that the omni-channel consumer is a lot more valuable than only looking at the online kind of return on invest. And this goes up to almost 10x the value that people have online. So it's honestly, it's like a huge iceberg that swims in the ocean, and we only see the top of it, which is the online piece. And we're neglecting so far, if we're not capturing the offline impact, we're not gonna see the full picture. So if you want to increase your ROI, it's probably not only that you need to do something completely new, you just need to capture it. And store visits, and that what I'm just going to talk about, is exactly how you can uncover the real impact of online advertisement on your retailers. All right, so this is something you might be familiar with if you heard us talking about mobile. So as you can imagine, the topic around store visits and like capturing offline impact of online marketing, it's very closely linked to mobile. And these are the 5 mobile moments that we keep talking about. And since most people don't carry their laptops into store, but their mobile phones, as we talked about it before, these are the moments we also can leverage and we can use for driving offline sales. And to go through them is basically, hey, I want to do something moment, and we should build an ad for something that this person wants to do. If somebody wants to go to a place, obviously we need to build for that. And so is the case for all the other moments that we have. So bottom line, these 2 things, capturing offline value and mobile, they're closely interlinked. And taking one step back, Google is actually pretty good at driving the whole thing. We have a mobile ecosystem that's not only Android, but also a lot of people using Google Apps, being on Google-owned and operated websites. We have the GDN, which is the biggest display network in the world. So we basically have all the material, we have all the resources to actually make this happen from an infrastructure and product perspective. So, hey, you should do that with us. Like, let us help you actually capture the whole offline piece of the online impact. So this is the starting section. This is why we do it. To recap really briefly, and feel free to already think of questions that you can answer in about 20 minutes when we go into Q&A. This is why we do online to offline. We have the mobile piece. We know that mobile is incredibly important for driving people into stores and being an assistant in the store. And we have all the stuff from a product and research perspective to actually make it happen, to actually link conversions that happen in a store to where the ads were actually shown, right? So this is why we do this. This is why we can offer this to you. And now we want to dive into 3 specific things. First, we want to dive into how you can actually show consumers that you are open for business. The second piece will be around how to actually drive traffic, foot traffic in your store. And then, as I said, as the last piece, we're going to capture total value of sales. We're going to go into simple solutions, and we're going to go into more advanced solutions to give you a nice overview of what's happening, what's available. All right, let's start with the first one. So how to show people that you're actually open for business, because this is the fundament that you need to have in place to actually be able to do this. So let's assume that we have these people that have a I want to go moment, right? And we saw in our Google Trends and in our queries that searches like near me really spiked, especially over the last 2 years. You can, by the way, find all these information, all these data points on Think with Google, or specifically Google Trends, which is one of the tools that we have. But we also see that 76% of consumers, or around that number, so a lot of people who conduct a local search also visit the store within a day. So we have data points and that are making us very confident that people actually, after clicking something, actually do something. So they go somewhere, right? So how can you actually show people that you're up for business? Because they rarely ever like call you up front. They don't have a flyer from you. What they do is that they use Google Maps. And with the Google My Business account, which you should all have if you have a business, you have the opportunity to actually provide these people that are interested in the solution that you can offer. You can provide them with information on where your store is, what you actually offer, when you're open for business, what kind of number can they call, what kind of amenities do you have? Do you have free Wi-Fi? What does the store actually look like so you can place pictures? This is the perfect kind of first impression that you can make on a person that's looking for a solution. So I would highly encourage you to set up and maintain your Google My Business account as best as possible. The second thing is location extensions. So as soon as you have a Google My Business account, you can put in all the locations that you have. And then all of a sudden, what you can do is you can include location extensions in all the ads that you put on AdWords. So for search and display and other products, you can actually include the location extension, which I would highly encourage you to do. Implement all the extensions, all the ad extensions that you can implement for your specific ads. The more, the better, because we will only surface them if they are relevant for that client. So we do the heavy lifting for you. But if somebody is interested in a store and they're right around the corner and we see that, hey, they're a super relevant person for you, if you have the Google My Business account and if you have implemented the location extensions, we can actually show them the picture that you see here on the left. So it's not only that we have an ad for restoration hardware, we can also tell them, hey, there's a sale going on right now. And actually, if you live in San Francisco, there are 3 boutiques or 3 shops right around the corner in Palo Alto, Oakland, or San Francisco. Do you want me to lead you there with Google Maps? Right? So this is how people will actually see it. And then there's another thing that's also enabled through the location extensions, which is local search ads. So by implementing the location extension, you're also eligible in certain instances to actually show up as an ad in Google Maps itself. So in the google.com expanded maps results, in the new Google Maps app on Android, and also on Google Maps on desktop, right? So if people are searching within Google Maps itself, you're eligible to show there if you're very deemed relevant for this particular customer, right? That's a kind of on-topic value that you get here. And honestly, this is something really cool, because as soon as somebody clicks on such a location extension, as you see in the very left picture with the Android phone, if they click on the address line, they will see this location detail page popping up, and they can scroll down for further information. So they can see your ratings if you want that to populate. They can see how busy your store is if you want to give them this information, and how long you're actually open today, right? So they will get instant access to Google Maps information from the Google search result page showing your locations. So this is a very handy thing to hand out to your customers. All right, so this is what you need to do. Short recap, please set up a Google My Business account, keep it up to date, verify your locations that you have in there. To be honest, it's all pretty intuitively set up, so it shouldn't be a lot of work to actually maintain it and set it up. It's even eligible for very small clients that don't have a lot of time to actually set it up, so we designed it also for them. And now we're going to how to actually get people to come to your store. What kind of messaging, what kind of ads should you use? And the first important thing is that there's 3 distinct situations, and that's going back to the mobile moments, where what we're saying and what you do show on the search result page is most relevant. It's the I want to do something moment. So let's pretend that I want to go and have some coffee, that I'm not looking for a coffee shop. I want to have coffee, right? So if you're designing ads for driving people into your store, be aware that you shouldn't just create ads that are your normal ads, but design them for these 3 distinct situations. Right? So if your client wants to do something, understand what they're trying to do, and give them an ad that leads them and is more relevant for them. So in this case, hey, if you're looking for a coffee shop near me, this is the one you want to go to. The second thing is the I want to know things. We talked a little bit about how the mobile device is actually a good assistant that helps customers and consumers eventually to research products. So if you are selling products in your stores, you might want to build ads for exactly these products, giving them a little bit more information on how does a product work, what are the unique selling points, not just a, hey, now buy and click here to check out online, but also giving them a little bit of background information on products if they want to do that. That's especially important for high value products. So the more a product costs, usually the more research people do, because they don't want to do the wrong purchasing decision. They want to be sure that they're buying what they actually need if they're spending a lot of money. So the more valuable a product, the more these I want to know ads are important. And then eventually, if somebody actually just wants to buy something right now, then you should also design for that, right? If they want to buy a tent, give them an ad that actually tells them, hey, we have the best tents, right? So make sure you make use of these distinct 3 mobile moment situations. All right. I already talked a little bit about products and how certain products are better or like work better in certain situations for like doing online research and doing offline sales, actually, right? And this is just a very, very, very rough map on what these kinds of products are. I think if you go into lower left, it's like low online sales, low in-store sales. Books is a good one, but I think the better quadrants to look into is like the high online sales and low in-store sales. So what are products that people tend to use like in the store only and they don't buy it online? So, oh, excuse me, the other way around. They buy it online only, but they don't buy it in store. So that's stuff that you traditionally just order. For low online sales and high in-store sales, this is where this online to offline piece really comes in handy. I think the auto industry and like selling cars is a typical thing because you usually don't order them online, but you do a lot of research online, and it's also a very high value product. So it's a perfect example, really, for what I'm talking about. There's also some others. Just think what would be useful for you is like check in on your accounts, look into what kind of stuff is getting sold in the store and what kind of stuff is getting sold on the website. And if you see a huge discrepancy and you see some products not converting online but offline, then these products would be the products I would use this framework for. All right. All right. The next really, really nice best practice to use, and I would highly encourage you to do that, is bid by distance. It's something super handy, and it's a great way to stay efficient by at the same time show up for very relevant customers. So what bid by distance does, it is using your locations that you have set up and allows you to set a bid modifier so that people that, for example, come in close proximity of your store, they will get a higher bid associated with them. So if you usually bid $1 per click, then you can increase the bids for people that are closer to that. So for example, if in this example, I have Nike stores, and if Nike would deem that, hey, if somebody is just honestly a few meters away from my store and they're looking for shoes and especially athletic footwear and apparel, then I want to increase my bids for these people by 200% because they're just right around the corner, and this will help you stay relevant, stay efficient at the same time, right? It's a very easy feature. You can just choose it within the targeting options in AdWords. Especially mobile is very relevant here. I would highly encourage you to look into cross-device tracking. So make use of AdWords conversion tracking that is enabling you to associate devices with each other. So you can do cross-device tracking with AdWords conversion tracking. So use that one. And also make sure that you up your bids for mobile specifically, because mobile is the key piece of driving of online researching people into stores and measuring it in the end. So make sure that your bids for mobile are up. All right. This is a very nice story of one huge American retailer and that saw that mobile really drove impact on in-store purchases. So you can see that a third of Target's mobile search ads clicks lead a user into visiting a store. So they were actually able to drive more people into the store. And as soon as they had them in store and they had researched online, they also spent more. So this is something that is being used already by huge clients and drove a lot of success. There's also a few other formats that are optional and that you can use. And one of them is, for example, a very rich shopping experience with local inventory ads. These ads show exactly what's in store, and they're basically showing your shelf on the website, right? So we can surface what's most relevant, what's best available. And we saw that these increase CTR in a very nicely way, because eventually it comes down to relevancy. And if it's very relevant and it's just around the corner, people will click on it, people will come into your store and buy it. So this is a very good format for driving purchases online and then eventually get the conversion offline. They actually look great. It's just a very nice format. They enable a full omni-channel experience. And we can see here that on average, we see not only a 2% increase, but a 5% increase in CTR when you're using local inventory ads instead of normal shopping ads, right? So this is actually pretty nice. And Target and Best Buy drove over 1 million of store visits in the last holiday season. Wink, wink, holiday season is going on already. And they used it during the holiday season for like driving more store visits into their site. All right. This is how they look like. Not really intrusive, very helpful, very much linked to Google Maps. So they don't look at all intrusive, and they're very helpful. I'm running through this a little bit quicker because I want to go to the measurement piece in the end and have a little bit of time for Q&A in the end. We talked only about search and shopping so far. Display is using the same like methodology as search and shopping. So we can also surface ad extensions, local extensions for display ads in, for example, the GDN dynamic responsive ads, or on mobile GDN, or inside of apps. So this is something that's already available. So now we come to the last piece, which is actually how to value total sales. And I'll spend a little bit more time on the broader available solution, and then let's briefly go over the more advanced solutions that we have in store. Feel free to reach out to your Google representative to help you along the lines. So this is just a recap of what we need to take into account. We need to take into account not only the green stuff, the online sales. This is what we did in the past. We also need to take into account offline sales and call center sales for whom that's available and relevant, right? Same for offline sales. Not everybody has a retail store. But so far, we have mostly focused on the green part, which is the online sales only. So, but just including offline sales, we will get a better picture on how much total sales our online ads actually drove. So how do we do this? We add the return on advertising spend. ROAS stands for return on advertising spend. So for $1 that you invest in something, how many dollars of revenue do you get back? And as I said, usually we have this picture where we see that the return on advertising spend actually increases by a ton if we also include offline impact, not only the online impact. So there's 3 big ways of measuring these things. The first is store visits reporting. This is where we just see, okay, somebody clicked on the ad, and then after they went to the store. And we multiply the number of store visits with the average order value, which then leads us to a visit value. So we can have a good proxy for how much revenue do we actually drive? How many people do we drive into the store? The second thing is store sales. So we can actually connect through the Gmail address to people that purchase in stores. So we see, okay, you clicked on an ad, and later on, we have your email address, and we understand that you clicked on an ad first and then purchased a certain item in store. So we know what kind of value to associate with it. We don't have to work with averages. And the last piece is a CRM integration into Google Analytics, where, for example, we use loyalty cards, we can match the user ID, and we can understand who is actually generating what kind of value, right? So these are the 3 big things. For most people, the first option is the most relevant one because it's the easiest to implement, and it already gives you great insight into what's actually happening, what's actually working. I'll spend a little bit more time on that one and then go into the other 2 and then into Q&A. So how it works is, as I said, people go and click on an ad that has a location extension built into and associated with. This is very important to have location extensions. Then they visit a store, and then we're able to surface in AdWords if somebody actually, or how many people visited a store after clicking on ads. So let's go a little bit into the techie piece of it. This is a very simplified way of explaining it, but for the nerdy techie people out there, this might be very interesting. So how does it actually work? So first, we have signed in and opted in people that shared their location history with us. People click on ads. Then afterwards, people visit a store. So we're able to collect data from several devices. We have the data from the click on an ad. And then eventually we can use GPS, Wi-Fi triangulation, and the location history, the geometry maps and Wi-Fi scanning of a lot of locations to actually determine if a visit actually happened. And it's very important to note that this is very accurate. This is all anonymized, but still we're able to determine, even in a mall or a big shopping center, which kind of store you're actually visiting by using either beacons or Wi-Fi scanning, right? So this is very accurate. And then eventually what we do is, for these signed-in people, we do ongoing validation and then extrapolate the learnings. So we actually ask people that are signed in, hey, did you visit that store lately? Or did you go to that place? And then they tell us, yes, like this is what's happening. Like I did that. And then we have a data point that makes it understand if people are actually visiting the store after clicking an ad. And we can take these learnings and use them also for people who are not 100% logged in, for example, right? So this is how it works in general. So another very nice case study here is that Nissan, especially, I talked about auto retailers using this technique to understand what their actual value is. But like they are understanding that their ROI, if they include offline, is just going through the roof, right? They're moving a lot more offline with their online ads than they actually knew before. So this is something that is super useful. And I know I'm repeating myself. It's just a very good solution. I'm very happy to be talking about it. So since the store visits for display is built on the same infrastructure, it also works the same way. The second piece I talked about earlier on is Store Sales Direct. This is a beta right now. This is something where we associate actual store sales with the email addresses. This is what I talked about before. I'm going over it briefly because it's only available for users that have certain pieces in place. Please talk to your Google representative if you're interested in it. People like, or companies like Sephora use that to drive a lot of insights and also are able to see more and more impact from that. So I put a lot of these case studies in there to make the point that it's already something people are using and you should do too. And the last piece is how to do this with Google Analytics. You know that user ID is a feature within Google Analytics. It's something that is only available for people that, or for companies that have loyalty cards, have a huge number of customers, so the very, very big clients. I had this in here for like completeness. It's not something for everybody. I would urge everybody to go for store visits first before thinking about these things, because it is a thing that is able and relatively easy to set up, but it just has a few things that come with it that are important to measure. So go through the first step first, and then later on, as you progress and you get more comfortable reporting on offline data, please go into these things, right? And Petit Bateau is a very nice French brand that uses exactly this to measure it. And they have really, really good impact. Again, a nice case study. So these are the three things that I want you to take care of when it comes to driving offline channel, omni-channel, not only offline channel impact. And now I'll just give you some key questions and recommendations. I know you guys probably already have a ton of questions, but these are the ones we usually get. And I really, really just wanna give them out to you right now and give really, really straightforward answers. So can consumers find up-to-date and accurate information about your location? please optimize the Google My Business feed. The Google My Business account is key in this whole piece. You need that one. You need it updated. You need the locations verified. But consumers know you have a store. Yes, please do enable all the LEs. LE stands for location extension. It's a free extension, free of cost. You can implement with any ad in your AdWords account. I would highly recommend you do that. Please put all the available location extensions into your ads and all the other extensions, because they will surface if we deem that this customer looking for something right now is relevant for you. Then how to drive footfall into your store. Are you able? Are you targeting and valuing keywords and categories that perform best in store? Please use the keyword and category expansion technique. So expand your keywords into what's actually working best in store. Can we capture customers who are most likely to convert in store? Radius targeting. This is what I talked about when what Nike does or did in that case. If you're looking for items that are easy to go out of stock, enable the local inventory ads. Use display location extensions if you want to draw in more people that are not specifically looking for something but are browsing. And then eventually, what KPIs are important? Value the total sales, not only online, but also offline with the help of store visits. And you can measure the offline impact by just using more advanced solutions, like, for example, the one with analytics I talked about. So these are the most frequent questions. Please shout out to your Google representatives if you have more questions around this. But now, I want to thank you for going through this with me. We have a few minutes for questions and answers now, and I'll just switch over to my questions and answers, and I'll answer the questions that I see here. So let me just read through it real quick. So first question, should location extensions be available in every campaign? Yes, that is exactly what we need. Please enable them in every campaign. Okay, the customer won't consider online to offline campaign efforts because we as an agency won't be able to track unless the consumer shares it. So in this case, it all comes down to who's taking care of the Google My Business account. And please, in this case, Mohammed is the person. Thank you for that question. Please reach out to your customer and actually make them aware that you are driving a lot of revenue into their stores by doing online advertisement. And you can optimize on that. You can bring them even more business if you optimize for offline sales. So therefore, please go ahead, talk to them, make sure you're managing this together and that they have all their location extensions ready so you can use them in the ads. And then the last question we have here is, how do you track the same user coming from an ad and making a purchase at the local store? So as I said, this is the thing. We need the interaction with an ad first. So if we see people interacting with an ad, we can make that link. There's a few more questions. So another question is, how about people that like regularly go into the store? Do we count them as customers because they might have a phone with them and we might be able to track them? So for example, employees. The answer is we are able to filter people that are looking like employees. We're able to filter them out. So we will only show you people that clicked on an ad and then went to the store. That's very important. So we're not increasing the number of people that go in. The last question, will this become available also for other formats, for other kinds of campaigns, more upper funnel? Yes, we're working on expanding this. We are working on making this available as broadly as possible because we're very confident that these visits that we have with customers are incremental and that we can actually like drive more people into the actual store by using this online to offline framework that I just presented. All right. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I could probably speak about this for hours. You see my passion for it. But for now, I want to leave it with that. Please feel free to reach out to your Google reps. They have more information. More than happy to help you in setting this up for your customers, especially if you're an agency. We're training our reps on exactly helping you with this. So I want to thank all of you for staying with me, asking the questions, and please go ahead, use what I just talked about, make use of it, and make sure that this Christmas season or this holiday season in general will be your best yet. Thanks, and until next time. See ya.